Hello and thank you for joining us here for game number 2, where Cloud9 load back into the Rift opposite TSM. On the blue side, with side selection in this rematch, it's Cloud9. They're gonna have Kumo in the top lane, Svenskeren back in the jungle today, Niski at mid, Sneaky bottom side, Zazel on support with coaches Reaper and Rapidstar.
And challenging them on the red side today, it's going to be TSM. In the top lane, Broken Blade. In the jungle, Acadian. Mid laner, Bjergsen. Bot and support going to be Sven and Smoothie with Zix and Goldman as the coaches.
When it comes to the rivalry between these two storied organizations in North America, you're not just looking to take down a team that you have tussled with countless times on so many different stages, but you are potentially battling it out for a future playoff bye.
Yeah, Team Liquid, has been looking like the clear #1, so that means there's one other playoff bye potentially up for grabs, maybe 2 if you can knock them down, but both these guys are on the hunt for that playoff bye. And if TSM win today, they would have a 2-0 head-to-head over Cloud9, which means at any tie in the standings, they get that bye over Cloud9. And Cloud9, coming off a loss yesterday, are bringing back in Svenskeren, who has been in MVP-esque form this split, so I think that's going to be a big boon for them. And he's going to be going up against Acadian. And Acadian, it does feel, I know we've said this a few times, but it does feel like TSM have settled on a jungler. It has been Acadian, for quite a few games in a row. He was in for their win at Rift Rivals also. And, it's more of an aggressive look, I would say, from him than we have seen from Greg. And, I am expecting that TSM is going to be sticking with Acadian for the rest of the split, so it'll be very interesting to see how he matches up against Svenskeren, who most people have pegged as the best jungler in the league right now.
I mean, you can see the stats on your screen as we discuss it. Svenskeren beating Acadian in all 4 of the categories we have listed right here. Jungle proximity pretty close, but Svenskeren with dramatic differences in gold difference at 15, as well as that KDA. He has been a paramount piece of what makes Cloud9 work.
Yeah, he certainly has, right? And it's one of those situations where it's not like he's just beating Acadian. He's beating basically everyone. I remember we were going through on another cast a couple weeks ago, Svenskeren, and we're like, all right, let's make a graphic with all the stats he's kind of topping the table at. They didn't fit on one graphic.
There's too many of them.
We needed multiple slides to actually show all the categories he was leading the league in as a jungler. So, he certainly has been very good. And, a lot of people were kind of looking towards yesterday's game for Cloud9 saying, okay, well, your early game looked good, but you couldn't close out the game. How would that have looked with Svenskeren? And maybe today we'll get to see a little bit of that. TSM also, coming back from Rift Rivals, have been experimenting a bit more, so that has been kind of nice to see. We did get to see, Sven bringing out the Yasuo. Yes, that was in a loss, but, TSM was vocal on social media about how they were pleased that they went with the attempt, and it wasn't that the draft was wrong, it was about the execution. And that's something that they were happy to continue working on. Yesterday as well, we got to see Azir top, so yet again, another look. And it's not that all these games have been the absolute cleanest, but the fact that they are willing to experiment shows that they're trying to work towards, being a better team that can be more competitive at international events than they have been in the past.
Which is what people have been asking for so very long. Don't just play to win eventually because you're better. Play to have an active style at League of Legends, to be constantly and proactively looking towards a way to accelerate yourself towards your opponent's nexus. And up against a squad like Cloud9, who, as we've already mentioned, these teams have gone head-to-head so many times and in the past. They're 2 of the only organizations that have flown victorious banners for winning the LCS here in the arena. It's always fun to watch them go head-to-head, especially when there's a lot on the line like right now, where we already said, hey, they're sitting in second, tied right now. Cloud9 lost that surprising upset yesterday by Echo Fox. Nobody came into that expecting Echo Fox, who's been struggling recently, to be able to take these guys down. And you got to think they want to say, no, that's a fluke. This is still Cloud9. This doesn't happen.
Yeah, certainly the case, man. You got to fight for every one of these wins. We're pretty deep into the season at this point, and these guys have really got to be fighting for every single victory. And you talk about all the banners in the arena. Cloud9, they have not won in a long time. Their banner is now, I believe, residing in the shop, right? It's not actually hanging up there now, because that was back, in 2014, I think was maybe the last time they won. 2013.
Yeah, I believe it was 2014.
I do believe. So, Cloud9, despite the fact that they have been such a successful organization, in the regular season as well as in international play, and they've gotten the finals a ton of times, it's been a long time since they've actually won that championship in North America, and they would certainly love to return back to that championship stage and be the ones hoisting the trophy.
And although TSM has more of those victorious banners than anybody else, remember, it's always the most recent wounds which cut the deepest, and they were the team that went to the full 5 games against Team Liquid in summer, only to lose in that final game to get reverse swept. And that's one that you also want to get off your record and say, no, 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 this is TSM. These are the kinds of games we win. And that just leads me to believe this is going to be one of those games where there's so much on the line. I don't want to see a game where we sit back and farm up and we wait to fight till 30 minutes and we have a gentleman's agreement. Okay, you can have 3 crit items. I'd like my 3 crit items as well. No, give me blood and give me it early.
Yeah, and these are some of the teams that may be willing to do that. You know, Cloud9 especially has been a very explosive team. You know, TSM has been moving more in that direction, and we are now into Champion Select. We're going to get our first clues on if it will be that type of game or if it's going to be the no rush 30 handshake on Corky's ear.
Don't you even say those words. We're not going to embrace that philosophy just yet, Mr. Azael. Cloud9 is going to embrace the philosophy, though, of no twisted fate. Bjergsen has shown his ability to play this champion very well. He showed it off yesterday against Clutch, and he will not get to use it here today. TSM is taking out one of those champs we don't like to see. The Sona removed from the pool. The Zir also removed by Cloud9. Things are looking bright. Forecast is sunny.
Liking these bans thus far. Karma going to be taken off the table as well. I'm also really excited to see, you know, will we get Kiana coming out again in NA? You know, Bjergsen, Niski, both guys that I think are very confident and willing to play Assassins.
We won't.
Kiana is, pardon? No,
we won't.
Unfortunately. Yeah. That's too bad. I definitely do think that these are some of the players that would be willing to bring it out, though, and, you know, it seems to be a pretty exciting champion, pretty powerful right now. It has been winning a lot in pro play. So it does make sense to take that off the table, especially if you have not devoted a lot of scrim time to actually practicing against it.
Right.
Then that can be something that you be a little bit concerned about.
The element of surprise, truly a dangerous one here, but not one they'll have to be concerned about. A final Enchanter ban coming out for TSM. Again, really targeting these so heavily, but Lux is left open. Cloud9 thinking about that when we saw how powerful it could be last game. 4JJ really popping off on that one. Could it be locked in here for Zeyzal to see if maybe Sneaky and Zeyzal can do the same thing?
That was the immediate thing that I was going to say. Just looking at the bans, it feels like the kind of S tier support that is sitting alone. So, you know, going to be able to grab that up. Some of the other options, you know, especially last patch, I think that could have been a Sejuani pick, you know, very likely. But now it feels like people are more comfortable trading Sejuani with some of the other junglers, you know, not as concerned about it. I think this is just a nod to the fact that Niski has been playing a fair bit of that Veigar, played it this week, played it last week. It will be a Tahm Kench as the answer here for Smoothie.
All right, Tahm Kench locked in generally means you're not going to go for a super powerful bottom lane just because he doesn't lend himself towards that. He's not a big lane presence early on in the game, especially not up against something like the Lux. See what else TSM want to go for here, because remember, although you're up against a pick like the Lux that we saw paired with an aggro powerful laner like the Caitlyn from TL last time around, this is the Cloud9 bottom lane who has been struggling a bit more this split.
Yeah, certainly the case. Sejuani makes a lot of sense. You know, definitely could have seen something along the lines of Rek'Sai or J4 coming out there as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Cloud9 does want to try to match that jungle pick now. Or it is disabled, I do believe. So
sorry, crowd.
I don't think we can actually get that.
Y'all are hate to crush your dreams.
Yeah. But and we could see something along the lines with Sylas. You know, the kind of traditional answer in the past has always been Trundle into that Sejuani, so that is certainly a possibility. The Sivir, going to be a strong pick there for Sneaky. We haven't been seeing him play it much yet this split, just the one game, but Sivir has become very, very popular in the meta. Such a solid bottom laner, very, very stable, and it will be Jarvan, so a little bit more of an aggressive answer, you know, as opposed to that Trundle, which is kind of more of that late game teamfight style of answer. This will give Svenskeren more ability to make plays and to make things happen in the early stages where he has been so dominant this split.
Cloud9 sharing 2 out of 3 of the early picks with what Team Liquid had in the last game. Strong early champions there in the draft. As we'll see, what does TSM want to answer with? The answer is Varus.
Okay.
So they want to be able to contest this laning phase some.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong laning duo, something that TL was really well known for, playing that Tahm Kench Varus quite a lot. You know, even going into MSI, that was something that they were very well known for. And this is actually the first Varus play here for Sven this split, only the second TK game there for Smoothie, so a little bit of a different look than what we have been seeing from them in summer. but a very strong laning duo. Varus holds up quite well. You can expect them to be getting pushed in, though, against the Sivir, and especially with the range support advantage. That being said, Tahm Kench is going to be really powerful for those side lanes, and I think Cloud9 may focus some of the strong side lane champions as a result to try to deny any potential 1-3-1 sort of style. We've seen a lot of that out of TSM, both with the TF, but also with some Broken Blade picks, bringing out things along the lines of the Aurelia or the Jax or those types of champions can be very, very good in that side lane play.
Well, solo lane, solo lane, solo lane's the name of the game here with those bans. Akali, Irelia, there's your Veigar. TSM not going to allow Nitsky onto that one. It's another one of those champions that almost falls into the surprise category factor. Just because you're playing the game, having a good time with League of Legends, all of a sudden 700 AP burst out of nowhere at 21 minutes. Didn't feel so good.
Yeah, I mean, he was sitting on almost 1,200 AP in the game yesterday, and that was a long game, to be fair, so he did stack up a lot on that passive, but definitely can be very threatening. Corki also off the table, so no Corki, no Azir. The focus on the mid lane there makes me wonder if this is going to be a Bjergsen blind pick and save top for last. That is my assumption. Otherwise, I don't think you actually need to ban the Veigar, right? Like, you can actually just let that go through and then answer it with something else, but maybe blind pick top and saving that counter pick for last either way, which is a little bit surprising to me because I do think that Bjergsen can play some of the matchups that are really strong into it. Things along the lines of Vel'Koz or even Xerath can actually really be quite strong into it. Maybe you're not willing to play those for other reasons, but some of those long-range poke champions are something that is so tough for Veigar to actually deal with because you just get outranged so heavily, you get poked out, you get harassed down. But it will not be the option either way. Bjergsen will have counter pick, we are assuming, unless it is a Rumble flex to mid.
It is
we have
possible.
not seen that in competitive play, but it is something that does actually show up a decent amount in high-level solo queue. Rumble is actually a really powerful mid laner for those Rumble one tricks and those types of players who are really experienced on that.
Cloud9 are going to go ahead, find themselves a powerful AP champion in that Vladimir here, as the other pick likely to be the Aatrox locked in. So probably Vlad mid, Aatrox top for the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, certainly what we are expecting. And then the question is, what does Bjergsen want to play into this? What does he feel he can bully this the most with or get the biggest advantage alongside? There is a lot of AoE already on TSM's squad, and a lot of magic damage if you're looking across. Varus is fairly heavily mixed. Sejuani magic damage, Tahm Kench obviously, not really relevant in that regard. And then you have Rumble pure magic damage. So going for the Jace, I think, makes a lot of sense. That does round out your composition and the damage types there quite a lot. It's also worth noting, this is the first non-Jace game for Kumo in the LCS. He's played 3 straight Jace games. So this is the first time we are going to be seeing him on a different champion, and we'll have to kind of check in on how comfortable he is looking on something that we have not yet seen him on in the LCS.
And I also want to see where TSM end up deciding to go with these solo lane picks. We saw Bjergsen sitting on the Rumble there for a while. Now they've traded them. 20 seconds is the cutoff time for when those champions can be swapped. And there we go. At the last second, they're going to be swapping them back. So this will be the mid lane Rumble for Bjergsen.
This is actually really exciting. This is something that I had been expecting to come out at some point in summer. And every time it pops up in channels, I'm like, oh, maybe this is it. But
could it be?
Yeah, it hasn't been yet. So Bjergsen actually playing the Rumble. Yes, there is a chance that he does, flexes around and he actually plays top lane as Rumble. There is a chance of that too. Neither Broken Blade nor Bjergsen have brought it out this split. And I don't remember Broken Blade really playing Rumble at all in spring either. So, it is a possibility that Bjergsen is going to lane it top, but for now we will expect it to be mid. You can play this very aggressively. Ignite Rumble with Comet is a really powerful laning champion that does have the potential to actually just burst out some of these mid laners in the map.
Crowd roars to life, and we head into the Rift. The latest chapter of TSM versus Cloud9 about to unfold. Bjergsen on the mid lane Rumble. Svenskeren back in the game for Cloud9. And we got the kinds of champions that can turn this into a real barn burner.
Yeah, I'm really excited. No Corki, no Azir. That is enough to get me hyped up. And saw a poster in the crowd from Canada, go C9. So
hey,
shout
there
out
you
to
go.
someone making a trip down from Canada. That's pretty hype.
Well, as the players make their way out onto Summoner's Rift, Adelie is standing by. She's got a sideline report ready to go with Reaper. Take it away.
Thanks, guys. Coach, coming into the TSM game yesterday, you had the rough loss against Echo Fox. What happened and what did the team learn from it?
So meta is shifting right now. So we are kind of shaky. We're trying to learn what is the optimal meta for us and how we want to play. But our team, the yesterday roster, really easy to losing their mind when they're not fighting back. Like enemies are not fighting back to you. They are like, what I do right now. So we are trying to learn that kind of play style, like slow game style. So yeah, it was good. Lost is a lost,
And with that combination of players, what happens when Svenskeren enters the mix instead of Blabber?
We need to win.
All right, well, Svenskeren's going to bring home the win. Last question really fast. First impressions on the draft, seeing Bjergsen take that Rumble.
Oh yeah, Rumble mid. It's been a while. In the solo queue, lots of players are playing in the mid Rumble, and it's actually high win rate. So during the draft, I asked Niski, and they says, if they are put the Rumble mid, I'm gonna accept it.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you and the team. Back to the casters.
All right, Cloud9, they're adapting to the meta. They're shaking things up a little bit. They're learning how to play when their opponents won't run right at them. So sounds like some good news.
I also love, how he's like, well, why would you be putting Svenskeren in? What's it going to be different? He's like, oh, we need to win. It's like, okay, well, that's the answer. Expecting higher performance perhaps from Svenskeren. We'll see if he can make good on that. And I'm so excited to watch this mid lane play out. It is, as I had said, and as Reaper was saying there, it is a solo queue pick, so they should have some experience playing against it, but you never really see it in competitive play much.
Yeah, Bjergsen going aggro here onto Niski early on. Remember, Vlad is all about getting to level 9. To a lesser degree, maybe level 7, you can at least feel okay. But before that, the trading windows for the champion don't feel that good because of the very high cooldowns on transfusion in the early levels. Means that Bjergsen's going to be comfortable here, pushing up, taking control of the lane nice and early, managing that heat to make sure you're getting the most out of your flame spitters and keeping those minions shoved up.
Yep, exactly. And when you are playing Comet, anytime you actually hit that Harpoon, you are going to hit confirm your Comet because the slow will guarantee that the Comet will land unless they pool or something along the lines of that. But now roam up to the top side. Svenskeren has actually anticipated this, so his 3-man dive, we'll see if they can turn this around. Svenskeren is here.
TSM are going to start the play off, and Svenskeren already makes his way up there. TSM will not get away with the dive.
Yeah, and it actually costs TSM more summoners because Svenskeren anticipated this, waiting behind. Bjergsen now spending both of those summoners for that potential dive. That is a bit rough for him because Niski stayed in lane, farmed it up. Niski, though, maybe too far out here.
Niski gets stunned up. Acadian finding plenty of damage onto him. Niski gets himself away, but that is not how you want to conduct the back end of that entire play.
No, I mean, his top laner, his jungler, basically just got him a big advantage. They got both the summoners off of Bjergsen, and he's like, no, I'm all for fair play here.
Oh, no.
You can have my summoners as well. Let's go back to an even playing field. Donates the Ghost and the Flash over to TSM. But, he does at least survive. Had Bjergsen still had the Flash, that would have been an easy Flash follow over the wall, and Niski would have just actually died there. And he wanted to zone Bjergsen off the creeps, right? He wanted to deny even more from that, but a level 4 Vladimir is not threatening whatsoever, so, you walk over there to try to stop them from coming in the lane, they just start hitting you.
Well, I got to give credit to Svenskeren more than anybody else over the course of the past 60 seconds here, because that to me looked like proper preparation. That to me looked like watching TSM's recent games as they're trying to play more aggressive and work on this early game style and saying, these guys want to make a play to dive a turret early. They're not going to be diving onto Sivir and Lux. Who are they going after? Aatrox. Let's make sure we stop it, and it works out perfect.
And I think it was also, a really good attempt from TSM because you're attacking Kumo, who is playing his first non-Jace game in the LCS. He's only 2 weeks into the LCS. He's up against Broken Blade, who has this lane-dominant pick that you want to snowball in the Jace. So everything there makes sense about the play. Utilize the early push from the Rumble, then roam up to that top side. You have Aftershock on the Zed-20 to tank up the turret. Like, that was a good play. It was just also a great answer from Svenskeren. So, already pleased with the beginning of this game, and we'll see if the teams can continue at this pace.
And one thing I want to watch throughout this game is both of these bottom laners, because Sven and Sneaky have both been having a little bit of a rough time so far this split, and that their performances haven't been up to the level that you would expect from AD carries of their caliber. Sven has had quite a few mistakes in his games, We've seen a lot of poor laning performances out of Sneaky and Zeyzal as well. And if one of these two can really just find that mojo that they've been missing and have a pop-off type of a game, that could be the X factor here.
Yeah, it definitely can. Especially if you come into a game and both teams have the game plan of just focusing towards top lane, if your solos like are getting focused and your 2v2 just naturally wins on the bottom side, that can completely change the outcome of the game. And Broken Blade is really looking to dominate this lane. The early Executioner's buy I love. I think this is very, very smart against the Aatrox, who does have quite a lot of self-healing there, and he wants to keep him down, not allow him to constantly sustain back up, push him in under the turret, harass him there nonstop. But Svenskeren is in the area, so he's going to have to be careful about where he has his vision. But it's Bjergsen and Cadian looking for another potential dive. We'll see if they can hold on for this one. Rumble is 6. That is very dangerous, and Ignite is up. So even in a 2v3, I don't know if they can hold on.
Cadian and Bjergsen are not going to commit for it, though. They're going to back themselves away, back towards that river. Bjergsen moves right back into the mid lane, and look at the respect being paid by Niski to Bjergsen in his itemization. Null Magic Mantle, first and foremost. Vladimir either wants to go for a Proto Belt or a CDR Garage Sale. Null Magic Mantle is not really involved in that, so that means he's very much saying, all right, I don't know how much damage might be coming out of this guy, but I don't want to give away those free kills.
Yep, you got to be really careful about that. You do not want to allow him to snowball on you, and if you can hang on, then you're going to be fine, right? You are going to get to the point where Vladimir scales up really, really well. But Z9, knowing their limits on the top side of the map, so, instead of trying to hold out the turret where I think you would die against that equalizer, they do just back off, and, they give up some minions, but they stay alive. And Sven, good trade there on Azazel, should push him back to base. We'll see if Sneaky does join, or if TSM want to use this opportunity to try to start up the Dragon, because Zazel is having a base, he has no teleport, so you should have the man advantage down there.
And I'm also watching Smoothie this game, because he's on Tahm Kench, he's got Summoner Spellbook, TP has been swapped out so we can get back to the lane here very quickly. See him move in towards that Drake pit as Acadian's already got this one started up. Critically though, no level 6 on either jungler, so if this turns into a big old fight, we won't see those ultis come out. TSM rotates up to here with their bottom lane. They've got control over the area, and they've got the Infernal.
Yep, and this is just really smart. You know that you have that much poke down on Zazel. He has to go back to base. TSM now cannot really challenge for that. Neither top laner has teleport. Your mid is a winning matchup early, so you're not going to be able to do anything in that situation. It's just a good, solid play there from TSM. And also worth noting that this is the poke style build. This is going to be lethality Varus. You can see that from the comment and also from lethality in his inventory. But going for that poke style build. So that is going to be their answer as you get later into the game. They're going to look to group. They're going to utilize the Jace for the poke and try to go for that. And now they're going to be trying to get back up here.
Equalizer brought down, but Kumo's going after the solo kill. Backs himself away there. Takes Broken Blade very low. Broken Blade keeping the flash, though, not panicking in a situation like that, and Bjergsen once again hoofs it back to mid.
Yeah, Broken Blade, would have actually got solo killed there. I'm pretty confident had Bjergsen not been in the area for the equalizer. The equalizer put a lot of damage down on Kumo and made it so he couldn't really chase through that. Otherwise, even though Broken Blade has his flash, Kumo could flash follow. So, a good bit of pressure again from Bjergsen. He's been so proactive. That's his third roam in 9 minutes already to that top side of the map, and they are trying to really help out Broken Blade and get him ahead. The question is going to become, did they get enough out of that? Because it is, a little bit of a CS advantage, but it's not enormous, and you want to see Broken Blade taking those turret plates, getting kills to really make good on all the effort that Svenskeren, or rather Acadian and Bjergsen have put up to the top side.
And while Broken Blade is getting a bit of a CS advantage, Bjergsen's got just as much of one over Niski, despite the fact that he's been roaming to this degree. Very successful early game here from the Rumble. There's no kills on the board, but TSM still command a 1,000 gold lead just because they're winning farm everywhere on Summoner's Rift, which is exactly where you want to be when we were talking about these skill matchups and how small things can make the difference.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's one of the great things about Rumble Mid. Because you have such strong push, especially into someone like Vladimir, who had a really slow early game and very poor wave clear at the early levels, really until you get a lot of levels in your E, or you get a Proto Belt or something to kind of really speed that up. You're going to get shoved in, and then Bjergsen just uses that time to go elsewhere on the map, and Kumo now taking a really bad end of that trade is put low, as Broken Blade has gone back and now spent his gold. He's now sitting on this rated Dirk. That full buy will be a pretty big deal. Bjergsen again threatening a roam up to the top side of the map, and Acadian was up there as well, so it means Kumo doesn't get to farm. He has to get pushed back off this turret, watch as the turret plate goes down, and potentially as some of this farm goes down too.
With Acadian nearby, Broken Blade felt confident to push up and make sure that he can play as aggressively as he needs to against Kumo here, not worried about being in a numbers disadvantage. Acadian will be found out in that Scuttle Pit, as now they're going to find some damage down onto Zeyzal. TSM in a good spot here at the start of the fight. That's first blood over to Broken Blade. Svenskeren in some trouble. Smoothie looking to put the last couple of licks onto him. A double kill over to Broken Blade. Niski gets over the wall. Transfusion's coming up, but damage is going down, and Sven gets him right through the heart.
TSM come up huge. 3 kills. They're going to get the Rift Herald as well. And the solo lane advantage is there. C9 wanted to contest at the Rift Herald, but you have 2 losing solo lanes and,
Oh, Kumo doing a good job there, interrupting the Rift Herald. So I guess for Cloud9, it's the small victories.
yeah, that's a little bit embarrassing if you're Acadian. You know, getting that interrupted is a bit of pie to the face, but Broken Blade gonna get solo first turret up here on the top side. All of that gold, when it is solo, when you do grab it with no one else around, 600 extra gold being injected into this early game champion. So here it is one more time. Zeyzal has roamed up, so they want to try to challenge, but your solo lanes are so weak compared to the TSM solo lanes right now. So this is a very risky play to go for Cloud9. Broken Blade roams down, Bjergsen roams up, and you know the equalizer is there, and there's just more power in these champions right now. Sven has arrived as well, closing in on all sides, and really nice play here. Holding his arrow, waiting until there's no chance for that to be dodged to finish off the last kill on Niski.
Sneaky was left in bottom side to farm up, push the wave a little bit, but Sven rotating over made the difference for getting that extra kill. TSM now with a 4,000 gold advantage, 12 minutes
huge
in this game because of the plays they made in that top half of the river.
And it could have been even more. I mean, there's only 3 plates left on the mid lane turret. If Acadian hadn't gotten interrupted, potentially that turret actually just dies, right? You know, barely over 2 plates. So, you know, could have been even almost another 1,000, you know, in their pockets, and they are still very far ahead, even without that. Broken Blade now threatening the raid over here. Kumo, though, looking for him.
Kumo finding the wombo combo damage, but Sneaky's now in some trouble. Goes into the stasis. Acadian's making the dive happen, and that's one kill going away of TSM. Smoothie tries to get himself away, but Zeyzal's able to mop him up. Cloud9 coming in, trying to find a second one here onto Acadian, but the equalizer will burn Zeyzal to the ground. Bjergsen's grabbing a kill on that one, but a big cataclysm's gonna trap TSM again. Cloud9 finds an answer, but Acadian finds Svenskeren. Niski makes his way on the back end of the fight towards the TSM members. He wants to go for something, but all he finds is that he's there too late.
Yeah, Niski not quite there in time. If he had Flash, he maybe could have looked for that play. He had Ultimate Ignite available, but he is on the Ghost, and it was not ready here. So TSM, again, making the proactive play, ramping it up here. Sneaky with a good spell shield on the Q, but with the spell shield down, Sven knows he can nail the ultimate, so Sneaky then drops that Hourglass. Does actually have a pretty well-timed one, but Acadian nailing the ultimate, taking him down, then all the TPs do arrive. Acadian flashing to buy some time, and once Bjergsen is here, the poke lands from Sven onto Zeyzal. Bjergsen just drops the hammer here with the equalizer, flashing in with that overheated flame spitter, shredding them down. And despite the fact that Svenskeren and Kumo do a good job getting them low,
here we go again. Broken Blade. There's that hammer you were talking about being brought down. That one finds its way onto Kumo here yet again. And it's a 5 versus 4 now in the bottom side of the map. TSM, everybody's ready to go around this Infernal Drake. Cloud9 has no Cataclysm available. They've got no On the Hunt ready on the Sivir. A fight here is not one they want to take. Broken Blade chunking Niski down to half HP. Svenskeren could go for a big steal here if TSM want to risk that, but it looks like they'll back away and let the Drake reset.
Acadian has no smite, so they can't actually go for it here. Not sure if he did use the smite, you know, perhaps in a fight just before it, but that would be way too risky. Svenskeren's definitely willing, I think, to sacrifice himself to try to go for a steal on an Infernal. It's such an important dragon, especially when you are behind, and your opponents already have one. Niski's gonna have to be really careful here.
Niski drops the Hemo Plague, forces Broken Blade to run away. Svenskeren shows up now, bringing down the Cataclysm. Broken Blade finally forced to flash out. He knows he can't hold it any longer.
Nope, he's gotta get out of there, so does drop the flash, but this is 3 members down here from C9. Now Bjergsen has arrived, he is warded out, but they're gonna start up this Dragon Smite now available here for Acadian. And they feel like they have the strength to do this, and I tend to agree. Bjergsen has the ultimate.
A little bit of damage coming out there from Zeyzal. Putting some work in on the TSM tanky health bars, but there's the more damage down onto Svenskeren. And these piercing arrows from Sven are finding their mark today. And because of that lethality build you mentioned earlier, they are so deadly.
Yeah, they really are. And the Chain of Corruption over the wall was just great onto Svenskeren. They know he wants to try to go for that steal, look for the smite. But instead, you have a ward over the wall. They lock him down with the Verisalt, so he can't even get into the pit and poke him out. So he has no chance of trying to take that away. Bjergsen has gone for the Morello's Rush, which I really do appreciate. When you are going up against this Vladimir, you also know that no matter what the lane assignments are, it's going to be good because you're going up against Aatrox or you're going up against Vladimir. Those are your opponents in the side lane, so I think that makes a lot of sense. If you build MR and end up against Aatrox, you're sad. If you rush Zhonya's and end up against Vlad, you're sad. So this seems like a bit more of a middle route, and he's now going to have double Spell Pen. He's going to have that healing debuff, and he has hit level 11, which is an incredibly powerful part of the game for Rumble. So TSM, I want to see them continue to push the pace. They have played a beautiful game thus far, really ramping it up, and this is where you want to see, all right, you got a great gold lead. It's early in the game. How fast can you extend that gold lead? How fast can you look to try to close something out like this?
When you have a 6,000 gold lead, 17 minutes into the game, I'm looking at you to take the Nexus 25 minutes into the game. So let's see if TSM can make that happen in 8 minutes. If they can force the issue this hard. There's still only one turret that's been taken the entirety of this game, and it was that top lane tier 1 that Broken Blade was afforded because TSM invested so heavily into the top side.
Yep, and they had a lot of roams up there, and we'll see, can Broken Blade continue to extend his advantage because he is sitting very far ahead right now of Kumo. 2,400 gold actually up on his lane opponent, thanks to his own play, all those roams, the turret gold, and now TSM grouping up here around mid lane. They want to try to poke C9 off the turret. That is how you siege with this comp. You land the poke, you push them back, then you step up and you take the turret, and they are looking to just walk straight up and grab this.
There you go. TSM make it 2 turrets to 0 now. Cloud9 not able to defend that mid lane tier 1. Zeyzal tried with the ulti, but didn't clear out enough of those minions. And TSM are now just going to rotate everybody down bottom, take that last tier 1 out.
Yeah, this is just really smart play. You know Cloud9 can't really fight you right now. You have stronger early game champions, plus huge gold lead, and they're going to find Niski.
Plus the Tom Kench coming in here. Pool used by Niski. 2 whiffs in a row from TSM means that play is over.
Yeah, good side steps there from Niski, and he had the ghost pop, so a lot of move speed, but now, without that available, TSM just stepping up, and they nailed the ultimate on Sven.
TSM going even further forward. Piercing arrow onto Niski there. Acadian soaking the damage on the turret for so long to make sure that nobody drew the aggro no matter what skill shots landed, and TSM will take their objective.
Yep, really well played, despite the fact that Niski was able to survive. Vladimir has very little wave clear, so really Cloud9 is completely dependent, feels like, on the Sivir to be around their wave clearing. Sneaky has got to be shredding out those waves, and now they're looking for Bjergsen.
Bjergsen almost getting himself Cataclysm, but flashes out right as the walls come up, making sure he avoids the damage and the pseudo-CC from that ability of the Jarvan. Cloud9 just trying to do whatever they can to try to punish TSM at any window that looks like it might be cracked open a little bit, but TSM are doing a good job of not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Now that they have flashes down on both their solo laners, can Cloud9 punish that whatsoever? Or is TSM just going to continually push up, get this vision down and look to poke Cloud9 out and take these turrets? Because they're in a good position to do that sort of play here continually, especially if they're just sieging away from Sneaky. You really want to avoid where the Sivir is on the map for the most part,
right?
Because that is their main form of wave clear. Vladimir cannot clear out these waves in your face. Neither can Aatrox. You'll just die if you try to walk up and actually E the wave as that Vladimir. So that becomes very, very difficult and does allow TSM to have this opportunity to move around the map nonstop, and especially utilizing that Tom Kench ultimate to just show up in a side lane and all of a sudden be sieging.
And when I'm looking at TSM and thinking about, hey, collapsing and making plays and avoiding the Sivir, I'm looking at smoothing. I'm looking at this Tom Kench because that's the secret weapon in the arsenal to make sure that you can get the drop on Cloud9, even if only by a second or two. That's all you need to blow up one of these turrets when you've got a Jace, when you've got a Varus with this lethality. Kuma will try to defend here against TSM, rotating multiple members into the bottom side. Chains of Corruption onto the Aatrox, and he is gone.
Oh my God, he just got erased there, and Broken Blade also sieging mid lane. Another little bit of poke lands on Zeyzal and does about half of his health. And the Dustblade plus Ghostblade already completed here for Sven very early, and he just has so much damage and very high CDR. You know, going to be at 40% with Lucidity Boots, and now Tahm Kench all bringing the mid lane. They're going to get that turret too.
TSM pick up number 4. This is what we were talking about, Azael. 21 minutes into the game, the lead is up to 8K. The Drake is alive. It is Mountain. It's Infernal Mountain for the 2nd game in a row, and that is a recipe for Baron. Cloud9 have yet another thing they've got to keep on their minds.
Yeah, that is going to be very tough to deal with here. And Cloud9, you know, don't have the best ways of dealing with all this poke. You know, you do have some hard engage there with the Jarvan, right? You can Sivir speed it up and look for that, but you know, Aatrox and Vladimir, you're pretty dependent on flanks. You know, at this point, if you try to engage straight into the TSM team, it's very difficult to actually be able to do that. So,
yep.
You know, they're really going to have to depend on getting some deep wards and trying to get some sort of flanking plays or corralling TSM in a position where they're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage because TSM is 7.5K ahead, and we're just 21 minutes in, so they really have all the edges right now. And can kind of take their choice of how they want to try to close out this game.
And you're already talking about the lethality on the Varus, the 2 items fully completed. Top side, we got the same thing on Broken Blade. And when we're looking at the Cloud9 roster, let's play Count the Armor. On Zeyzal, nothing. On Sneaky, nothing. On Niski, looks like a whole lot of, yes sir, that would be nothing.
Yeah.
If we look at the jungle, Svenskeren, hey, he's got a chain vest, at least he's working with a little bit of something. And Kumo's got some shoes. That is not enough to deal with these 2 massive lethality artillery cannons raining hell down on your lines all the time when they're on the same screen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, it's not even just the armor that you have to look for. You have to look for magic resistance too, because Bjergsen has double spell pen there. So, you know, this is one of the advantages of having a well-balanced composition is it's hard to actually properly defend yourself against both the armor pen and the flat pen here from the Rumble. So, you know, TSM, certainly a good comp in that regard, and you know, are looking like they are in just such a good position here. Acadian already has the early Warmogs as well, so if you cannot actually knock him down, he's just going to shrug off any of that damage. And it does give you opportunities to constantly do things like starting up Baron, and oh my god, that...
Zeyzal nearly going to be taken down instantly. Cloud9 looking to start off the fight, and they're able to grab the shutdown onto Broken Blade. TSM may have gone a bit too far. Smoothie barely getting away on this one. Thick Skin's able to keep him alive. TSM lose their top laner, and Cloud9, they found a 1-for-0.
Yeah, and that is a great force there from Cloud9. They are going to be able to get a shutdown, but Niski may be getting caught out here.
Acadian and Bjergsen collapsing. Smoothie with the cutoff. Niski staying alive with the transfusion, but Sven's right there over the wall. Puts some flowers on the gravestone, and that's another one for the side of TSM. Cloud9 still hanging around with Sneaky and Zeyzal. Sneaky gives Acadian a hot slice of pizza, but that's going to be all, as that Sejuani's going to heal right back up, as you said.
Yeah, and that kill, very, very big there for TSM. Again, utilizing that Tahm Kench ultimate, you push a little bit too far out, all of a sudden multiple members are behind you, and you are going down. But that right there is kind of the way that Cloud9 could perhaps come back into this game. You know, Niski did blow the flash to make it happen. It was a great binding initially from Zeyzal, but he ends up losing about 2/3 of his health. Then straight in, flash, ultimate, hits the E there as Niski, and they chase down with that Lux ultimate to finish off Jace. Multiple members from TSM were very low there, but TSM wants to play a slower fight. They want to play a fight where you're landing poke multiple times, where you're wearing down your opponents, and Cloud9 are essentially, you know, on the opposite end of the spectrum, where they want that immediate all-in fight, 100-0,
Yep.
go right at them.
And that's exactly what Svenskeren recognized, the opportunity to blow Broken Blade up.
Again.
And now Cloud9 will once again look to find that opportunity. Sneaky nearly taken down. Acadian going to be soaking up the damage. Sven's in some trouble. Svenskeren looking to put the last couple of auto attacks onto him. Shut down for Cloud9. Smoothie's in some trouble too. And the C9 boys found 2.
And they're going to start Baron. They're just going to go for it here. Broken Blade is in the bottom lane here. Acadian has no flash. They're TPing in.
Bjergsen has Equalizer. The Baron pit is a dangerous place to be. Sneaky's burning away and he will fall. Bjergsen's able to grab that kill, but now he will surely go down. Broken Blade trying him off of Svenskeren. Not quite enough damage to find it. Acadian's gonna take down one, but they'll trade one for it. The Sejuani's still alive, but he's trying to get away. Too tanky to be taken out, but TSM will stop the Baron.
Yeah, TSM stopping that Baron is so important. He does cost some summoners off of Bjergsen and the teleport from Broken Blade, so still a great play from Cloud9, and they are battling back in this game from what looked like an unwinnable position.
Let's take another look at how they did it here in the mid lane.
Yep, they see Sven there, and they have seen, you can see Bjergsen is on minions up in that top lane. They know he cannot respond because he has no teleport. Broken Blade showing now on the minions in the bottom lane, so they just hard commit to this. Sven just gets knocked down by Svenskeren, taking him completely out. Smoothie, tanky as he is, cannot survive to these 5 members, and it looked like Cloud9 may just be able to grab a Baron here, but they do not really have the damage, and Sneaky very low. He never got to get his base off, so Bjergsen flashes in. The Ignite is gonna burn him down. But then, the full commitment to this fight. It was a great stopwatch from Bjergsen, buying so much time for Broken Blade and Acadian to get some work done.
And Bjergsen died with Equalizer up. Imagine if that had crashed into the ground and provided the extra damage.
That's a good point.
For TSM to mop up the rest of those members. But man, we were praising TSM for such a powerful early game, and I meant every word of those praises. But I have got to applaud Cloud9 for being in a game where they're 8,000 gold down and finding back-to-back windows to start and win some fights.
Yeah, and that is a really good job forcing. That was their only kind of narrow opportunity to try to come back in this game. They are still very behind. 4 Dragons to 0, down almost 6K, well 5.5 now. So they have got to keep looking for these plays, and they're going in again.
Here we go. Sneaky's on the front line, but Sven's going to be eviscerated if not for Smoothie keeping him alive. Niski looking to find that last bit of damage, not quite able to make it onto the TSM AD carry. Zazel providing some CC. TSM's thrown up into the air. Bjergsen going to be taken very low. C9 not finding kills. TSM not finding kills. Dear Lord, how did they all walk away?
But Cloud9, they're pinging it over towards the Baron. Are they actually going to attempt this? Sneaky is teleporting back. I don't think they can go for that, though, but yeah, TSM barely able to squeak out. Smoothie did an incredible job in that fight. The Devour on Sven to save him from the Lux ultimate, then lands the Tongue Lash to actually slow down the Niski engage, which would have killed off him as well. And now Sneaky may be getting caught out here by Acadian.
Sneaky being shielded up by Zazel.
Oh,
Acadian trying to land that last auto attack, that last into the Glacial Flail to be able to get the stun, but he will not find it. 3 out of 4 does not round up. Sneaky walks away.
Yeah, and Sneaky has no teleport. He actually just used that recently. Zazel's gonna have to go back to base, so now it is TSM over by that Baron Pit, and they are starting this up here. Niski does have flash, but Niski has no ult. Sneaky is not there yet.
TSM demand an answer from Cloud9. Baron at 1/4 HP. Sven nearly killed again, but nearly's not going to be enough. Sven taken very low. Bjergsen exploded. Cloud9 are still going to find the fight. They've got 2. Acadian and Broken Blade are on the run. Sven's got 300 HP, and Cloud9 is biting back.
Cloud9 are staying alive in this game. I can hardly believe it. TSM getting roasted at the Baron Pit there. Cloud9 will take the mid lane turret, and they are keeping it close. This was, 7K like 10 minutes ago, and the gold lead is getting smaller. TSM have got to reset, have got to slow down a little bit here and make sure that they're looking for these correct fights. Svenskeren over the wall, beautiful knockup on a Broken Blade, and they're utilizing these Lux ults from long range very, very well. Then, as the Devour is used on Broken Blade, Bjergsen is overheated, he is exposed, he gets knocked down. Sven had already been pushed out of the fight by Svenskeren's engage, so TSM didn't have much left in the tank at the end of that point, and they are really focusing Sven on this very, very, very hard. Utilizing the dive here from the Jarvan, from this Aatrox as well, to push him out of the fight immediately, because he cannot stand an auto. He's a poke style mage essentially, with this build.
And as we get further into the game, that becomes so relevant, because we were talking about these lethality champions earlier, the Jace and the Varus. How do you even survive when they chunk you so low? Well, how do you survive when Sivir's up in your face, dealing out all this ridiculous damage, and you've got no answer? Smoothie's gonna be stuck in the Cataclysm, having to flash away. Sven providing some cover fire, but now Cloud9 is
Bjergsen
deep under the enemy lines. Bjergsen's coming in for the flank, and C9 may have overcommitted. Acadian tries to continue to frontline here. Bjergsen's alone, he doesn't want to go in too far without the rest of the team being able to catch up. Sven with the flash to stay alive, and somehow, somewhere, some way, no one goes down.
Yeah, Cloud9 is just refusing to give TSM time to set up the fights. TSM needs to use these lethality champions to land poke, to get them low, whittle them down, and then maybe engage or just siege. But C9 is saying, no, you don't get to have that time. We walk up, we press Sivir ult, we press Jarvan ult, we engage at full health every time, and you will have to fight us from that position. So, you know, TSM is going to have to be really careful about that and make sure that they are either properly set up or have enough vision to avoid these engages so that they have the time to get that poke down, because that is what is so critical for them. You know, they are really in a good spot if they can land that poke and be able to set up the fights properly. But if not, the gold lead is meaning less and less. Sivir's on 3 completed items now. Deathcap is done, as well as Spellbinder and some CDR here for Niski. This is getting to be very scary. You know, 3-item Sivir plus 3-item Vlad. When you have the Vlad amp damage or all the Sivir ricochets, you can get shredded.
This is a very scary position for both teams because the game rests on a knife's edge. Kumo gets hit by the piercing arrow, losing about 20% HP. Niski continuing to move forward here, looking at which summoner spells are available. Svenskeren with no flash for the initiation. Sneaky has a flash of his own. Sven does not. Smoothie does not. These immobile members of TSM, if they get stuck in that crater, they're going to be there for a while. Kumo now eating the ulti coming out from Acadian, but C9 still able to disengage. Here comes Sven! Here comes the damage! TSM having to get themselves away. Niski falls, but so do too on the side of TSM. Kumo's looking to rampage forward. Sven gets caught out, and Kumo will slam him into the ground. Svenskeren's there for the kill, and Bjergsen will stand until the last breath, but Sneaky will make sure he leaves in a body bag. It's C9 on the victory push.
That could be it. C9's gonna look for the end here. TSM so long on the respawns, I don't think Acadian can hold on.
Everyone who's ever played League of Legends has been in a spot where the poke comp is ahead. It has felt like there is no way to find some win in this one. And Cloud9 are putting on a masterclass of how to deal with this.
Yeah, Acadian too tanky there, is able to buy some time. Smoothie comes up, Sven is gonna be respawning. TSM survive. But this is fight after fight going Cloud9's way. This one, TSM did engage because Svenskeren was not with the squad, so they decided to make the call. The Mikhails was huge there from Zeyzal, getting Kumo out of that ultimate, then the combo comes down. Ultimate dropped on multiple members, Sneaky ricocheting, free-firing throughout this whole fight, getting so much damage out, and once Kumo has the reset, he just goes wild in the fight. Q flash onto Sven, right on top. Absolutely dunks him, and with yet another reset, he is happy to chase Bjergsen under the turret here, tanking that up for the team, has the Sterix as well to keep him alive.
And now Cloud9 has an inhibitor down in the TSM base. Extra pressure across the map thanks to the super minions, but considering it's still only one lane, it's nothing that you're going to win the game off of just yet. That 8,000 gold lead from 22 minutes into the game, Azael, has shrunk down to 734 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to check in with Sneaky. Last time we talked about it, he got a full Bloodthirster since then. You know, so now the poke is becoming less and less relevant. If you can 100-0 Sneaky, he's going to heal right back to full off one minion wave or a couple autos on a champion. You know, he's now on 4 items with some of the really, really expensive items here. You know, this is 3 BF stored items here that Sneaky has. It's a tremendous amount of AD. He's going to be putting out insane damage, now at 16. And Niski is closing in on 16 as well, which will, you know, max out that Vladimir ultimate for even more amp damage from Sneaky.
Cloud9 trying to fight over the red buff here, but is that the mistake that costs them? Svenskeren on the front line. Niski's in some trouble off to the side. Broken Blade going to be taken low. Svenskeren going to be fighting 1 versus 4. He will fall. And TSM will finally get the punish.
Yeah, TSM able to punish Cloud9 there big time. Cloud9, I think, getting way too greedy, trying to invade into those small jungle corridors.
Yep.
That is where Rumble succeeds. That is where Varus succeeds as this poke champion. You are lined up, and that death on their jungler means TSM likely will take the Baron here, though. Cloud9 is moving over. They want to look to fight here. Sneaky healed up off the Grom.
Zeyzal nearly getting one-tapped by the Varus. Niski's in some trouble. That's going to be Varus secure by the side of TSM. Cloud9's able to find the fight. Sneaky's damage is monstrous, but Broken Blade shut him down. The follow-up damage is there from Niski, and Smoothie will gobble up his teammate over the wall as Kumo shot after him to go unstoppable.
They could end the game here. They're going to TP forward. It's just Acadian 1v2 again. It's all up to him, but Kumo so strong. He's looking for the end.
Acadian has to hold this line. Kumo, the novice on the team, stepping up, taking the role of Licorice as he and Niski will try to end this game. 10 seconds on Bjergsen and Sven. Nexus turret number 2 is down. World Ender is up. Cloud9 continues the push. Nexus needs a couple more. And Cloud9 take the win.
What a game. The absolute insane comeback from Cloud9. Down over 7,000 gold early. Down 4 dragons to 0 with 2 Infernals to TSM's name. And it is Cloud9 that will see the victory screen.
And Jack runs onto the stage, encapsulating the feelings of Cloud9 fans everywhere. What a game that was. It looked like they may have finally committed the fatal mistake around the red buff, but they turn it around in the Baron pit and find the win. Kumo on this Aatrox, going over the wall to finish up the fight, finish up the game. We said, all right, you played one champion. How do you look on number 2? Pretty damn all right.
Yeah, he looked pretty damn good in that final fight, hitting all 3 of the Qs there on Smoothie, taking him down and allowing them that opportunity to close out the game. And I'm honestly shocked. This was, I was willing to say this was the best game I had seen from TSM all split. You know, they looked so good in the early stages. They were snowballing their advantage. They were in complete control. They had a massive gold lead, complete control of the neutral objectives. And then Cloud9 just flipped a switch. They just started engaging every time they saw someone from TSM on the map. Engage, pop the cooldowns, go all in. And they were able to kind of fight their way out of this deficit and completely shut down this poke comp.
You take the first 15 minutes of that VOD. You show it to anybody who hasn't watched the game. You say, I'll give you 100 to 1 odds that TSM's able to win this one. Most people say, yeah, sure, I could use the free $5.
Yeah.
But that's just how Cloud9 played it. Ever since that engage from Sinskaran in the top side to get that kill into Broken Blade, it was just their game over and over, and they found TSM time and again. Now we're going to send things down to Avali, who's ready for an interview with a member from the Triumphant team.
Thanks, guys. We knew the battle for second was going to be intense. Kumo, congratulations on the win. Tell me about that win moment, because it looks like everyone jumped up and was screaming and yelling and chanting.
Yeah, I mean, the entire game was really intense. We were on the back foot for a while, but after scaling and we started teamfighting, we started coming back into the game. And after we killed them all, we really, we thought we could end because of the Baron, and I TP'd in, and we went for the end.
Yeah, you did get the end. You also picked up the Tom Kench kill over the Baron wall. But I want to ask you, what is having this game like for you, where you are such an important member of the team and basically picking up the win?
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm the most important player on the team in this team fight. I think team fighting, Dennis was getting really insane engages, and Vlad would just follow up, and I would just follow up on Dennis. And the fights, I think, was going well because of Dennis's engages.
I would still say that you were pretty important, buddy. I was watching you play. Beal, I like the humbleness, though. But asking you, a lot of people were thinking that Licorice was coming back this week, and we got to see you play again, which I'm personally happy to see. But we're assuming that he is coming back soon. What have you learned from playing on the LCS stage and with this main team?
Everything. I think I've gotten better at literally everything. And I mean, the experience was pretty insane. And being coached by Reaper and with the team, experienced members, it feels really good. And I feel like they helped me improve so much, just in 2 weeks.
Well, great for that. Kumo, again, congratulations on the win. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. We have to welcome Golden Glue and Ablaze Olive to the desk of their respective teams, C9 and TSM, here to break down this spicy matchup. Huge comeback victory from Cloud9 here. What was looking like an 0-2 weekend for them gets turned around and evened up at 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy game. I think when we were watching it backstage, we really thought like it was the story of the Solo Lanes early game. They were just dominating, pressuring the map so hard. And then the roles kind of reversed once it came to the late game. I really felt like Vlad and Aatrox were just taking over the fights, and it was an interesting game to watch.
It was pretty funny hearing you guys be like, oh, this game's boomed. It's completely over. They got double Infernal. They got the gold lead. Get me out. And then suddenly it's like, whoa, 1 or 2 more of those engages? But I think that speaks, right, to expectation. And this is where I want to turn to you, Blazov, because talk to me about the expectation coming into game, right? We look at champion select, we go Jace, Rumble in the mid lane. We were looking, yes, at those solo lanes for how things are going to play out.
Yeah, I think this game, it's pretty clear that for TSM to win, they have to have a pretty solid early game. If they don't do anything early game, C9's comp is so much easier to play in team fights. It's really easy to see that they're just gonna run and engage like you saw near the end of the game. But right here, what TSM is doing, even though this doesn't work, this is like the right idea. Like you wanna set Kuma behind because it's kind of hard to punish Vlad with Rumble and Sedge in the mid lane with a dive, but it's really easy to dive with the Jace building a big wave. So TSM actually has the right idea, and they do a really good job of sort of building the lead that they have, you know, in mid game.
Yeah.
Constantly unlocking that Rumble to make roams to the top side. It will net a fairly large CS advantage for the Jace in the top lane. Bjergsen will have a small one of his own and ultimately give them control of the entire top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, in the draft perspective, when I saw the draft finish, my immediate thought was like, if this is like world-class solo lanes, the game's like pretty free for TSM because mid lane, there's actually nothing Vladimir can do. Like you're just gonna get pushed in and there's no option, there's no like counterplay there. And top lane is a volatile matchup and the jungle matchup is winning, right? So it should be a very fluid, clean, easy snowball by TSM. And you saw like they did a pretty good job, but they weren't able to like put the nail in the coffin. And,
Right.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
Exactly. So I do want to dive into this this first replay here because I think this is where we begin to see the breakdown for TSM in that mid game.
Yeah, this was like a really crazy fight. To start off, like Vladimir has an amazing TP ward. I don't know when we got that, but it's literally the perfect TP ward. And Varus and Tom run in separate directions, and so Tom can't actually eat Varus for the engage. And then you can just see as the fight plays out, Rumble's really late to the fight, not even here. Dennis gets on, we get on Varus, he dies. Kumo has another flank, and so we win the initial fight, and like pretty like easily. It was just kind of weird that TSM was stepping up at that point when they knew they had numbers disadvantage. And here, like, Rumble comes in, and, like, I love Rumble mid as a concept, but you see a lot of execution mistakes on mid lane Rumbles just because it's such a niche and hard champion to play. Bjergsen actually dies without even using his ultimate here. You can see he flashes in, tries to kill Sneaky, but Sneaky has flash, and Bjergsen overheats. In a second, you'll see it. He overheats, and he can't even ult.
Right. Any of these would probably be ideal ult, positions, or at least effective ult positions, but it doesn't even get used.
Or even waiting a bit, because you can see the Baron's still at 11k. Like, C9 is not going to kill this Baron very quickly. You can even wait a bit. You don't have to fully commit onto the Sivir. She still has flash, but they go for the Sivir. She ends up living, and Bjergsen has a Zanya as well, still silenced. So he can't get a good ulti off because he gets CC'd right after.
Yeah, I definitely think we tunneled on Sneaky there too much. Like, you saw, or like TSM's tunneled on Sneaky too much. It's like, they thought they had a pick, but it turns out that they just actually all die for looking at it. So.
And I thought it was really interesting when you guys were talking about Rumble mid, not just as a concept, but in execution. It's something that a champion that takes a lot more games than most mid laners seem like they've actually committed towards that champion.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you pick Rumble versus Vladimir, you're really confident in the lane phase. It's not a skill lane phase. It's just straight you push them in. But you could definitely see like some slight execution differences in the late game. And Rumble is just like a really different champion. And you just put a lot of games into it to be able to play it perfectly just because it has, the what is it called? The
Heat
overheating. The heat
yeah.
system, yeah.
Yeah, just a different resource than any other champion in the game uses. And then another thing, we're going to reference a lot of what was going on as we were watching the game, is I found it interesting at a certain point. I turned to you, Blazov, and you had said, I think at this point, TSM doesn't feel like they're actually still 4K ahead.
Yeah,
and that speaks to the mindset of the players in understanding the different power levels and power curves. And I'm sure you guys can speak to that on the stage, as compared to us objectively looking at it and seeing the gold lead, feeling dictates things so much more than the actual reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point in the game, TSM was about 4k up, and they had double Infernal and Mountain. But the past like 4 or so fights, C9 was always engaging, always having a good start, and it never felt like TSM was sort of in control of the game. It felt like they were kind of getting dictated to, and in game, you can't feel a 4K lead like that when your champions get outscaled that hard. So it's really hard to feel like you can still play aggressively when the past like 10 minutes, you've just sort of been getting out-macroed, outplayed, and having the game dictated to you.
This is the Pro View look at the end of the game here from Kumo's rather, not Komu's perspective.
Yeah, and this was after TSM had finally made one of their first good plays in a while where they found a pickoff to start this, but then they didn't really have that many cooldowns, and no one stopped Kumo from running wild in this fight, and Aatrox unfocused can absolutely take over a game. Oh, that was disgusting.
Oh my God.
That's a dirty
nasty.
combo right
That's
there.
nasty.
When everything hits.
Yeah.
From there, they can walk it to victory. Again, we kind of saw what was talked about in Champions League. This idea that TSM's on a timer. They followed, 90% of the steps they needed to put themselves in a position to win. For Cloud9, found a couple crucial fights to get back into it.
The part that I'm interested in is one of these games where you can say, oh, as a fan, we never should have drafted so late game, we
Yeah,
get slammed
I was
the
just
games.
thinking that.
Or if you're a TSM fan, you're like, oh, we picked this volatile comp and we screwed up. So where did you guys land on the 2 drafts? Like, were you still ultimately happy with TSM's draft or upset about it?
I'm happy with the draft. I'd be upset with the execution.
Right.
Yeah.
And like for C9, I think the execution was like really good in the late game. I think it's not even execution, but the confidence to actually take to Jarvan to engage those fights when you're so far behind, down 2 Infernals, like the total gold value probably down is like probably over 10K, but you're somehow finding these engages. So I was really impressed, I guess, just by the level of fight that C9 had. Because to me, like, us watching the game, I was like, this is over. Like, this is hard to watch.
Oh my goodness, that gold graph.
Look at that. Woo! 7.8K, and you have to think of what the gold value of the levels they're up, the 2 Infernals, like, it's more than it even looks like.
Right.
So
TSM played the first 20 minutes of the game exceptionally well to put themselves in that position. Cloud9 played the back 15 exceptionally well to get themselves back into it.
I would argue that even TSM didn't even play the first 15 minutes that well. Like, they got the roams off, but they actually didn't convert on much. Like, they were doing the right thing, but like when they were going top, they weren't actually getting kills.
What's
They weren't
your
actually
feeling there? Were there opportunities for them to get even more than what they did?
I definitely think they could have done more. I think something that you can look to is that the way that TSM actually got their humongous lead, it didn't feel like they were making a big play. It kind of felt like C9 was making a misplay because there was this fight around Herald where Sneaky was pushing bottom and it kind of looked like the rest of C9 wanted to fight. And even though Sneaky had TP, he didn't really TP in, and then all of C9 kind of died, and that was where the big explosion happened, where they got super far ahead, which isn't really what you want when you have a comp like this. You want to be, diving top, getting a 50 CS lead on your top laner, all the plates, all the heralds. So that's how you want to get your big lead. But TSM played well enough to get that lead. They don't have to do it perfectly, but they got the lead and they should have executed on it.
I do want to ask you one more question, just because you're obviously embedded with the team, and TSM has been very vocal this split about changing to a more aggressive style. Acadian himself very vocal about confidence issues and finding a way to unlock himself to execute on plays in the moment that he sees them. But for you, I just want to get your perspective on that process for a team to identify something so large as like, hey, we need to stop just waiting till late and do more. To me, that's like such a large task. How do you begin to tackle it, and what's that process kind of been like?
Well, to me, it kind of starts in the draft. You kind of have to start enabling yourself to have these win conditions. You can't be picking the same champs to scale it to late game and say, hey, we need to play aggressive early. So I think this is the kind of draft where you're kind of setting yourself up for success in playing early style. I think that, in my opinion, I think TSM's draft is probably favorable. Because C9 doesn't really have a good way of making a plan in the early game. They kind of just have to hope TSM mess up, which they did, but to me, it doesn't feel like a super feel-good C9 win. But I think that when you're doing this practice, you have to put these games in, you have to try them out on stage. And I think, personally, I think that it can work. I think that this draft is a good idea, and I think it's very close to TSM just completely annihilating C9 in this game, but, just need a few more games, a few more practice.
Awesome. The assessment of Kumo here in his first couple weeks on the LCS stage?
I think he's been playing really well. I was really impressed today, like the fact that they were just camping him, kept like abusing him with roams, rumble, and like he didn't really die. He didn't even have to burn flash to level 6 rumble roam. I think the way he was able to like take that early game, I guess, deficit that the team had and still come out late game and pop off. I'm really happy. I mean, I'm teammates with Kumo. I think he's a good player. And I'm really happy for him.
Couldn't have asked for a better or more competitive game between C9 and TSM. C9 did come out on top. We're stepping away when we return. Counterlogic Gaming and Golden Guardians face off. Don't go anywhere. Woo!